We are live. Howdy everyone, welcome to our hangout. It's lovely Sabrina and myself hanging out tonight. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the most fascinating thing that we know that everyone struggles with. We all know that it's simple, but it's certainly not easy, and that's about recruiting tips. So we want to share with you kind of some of the training we've been doing over the last few weeks, some of the stuff that we share with our teams, and how we help them get started. Because we know that obviously whether you're a newbie or whether you're already in an existing business, if you're building any type of either online marketing business or an MLM, one of the key skill sets you need to have is how to recruit people. And we're not going to go, obviously we're on a hangout, we've got about 40 minutes or so roughly. We're not going to be able to go into depth in every detail, but what we want to do is give you some kind of hints and tips and ideas on some of the things and the ways that you could potentially approach recruiting, and how you can do that to kind of add value to your business and maybe help your team with duplication and trying to get them into some sort of processes and what they can do. Sabrina, do you want to say a quick hello while you're there?
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. So it's 9 o'clock here, and really we've been learning and listening to a lot of fantastic stuff because one of our new products has launched, and we hope that you get a lot of value, pure value from this hangout. And like Kylie said, it's simple, but it's not easy. And I think the main thing to understand is, unlike myself, unlike you, sometimes we just don't want to get into the real nitty-gritty and the dirty work. And you know what? Just roll our sleeves up and go, you know what? We just have to work to make this happen. And I was just talking to you before. I'm getting bogged down in technical stuff, and we're building team sites, but you know, really, when you're just starting out, and if you haven't hit your £5,000 a month or $5,000 a month market, you just need to be recruiting people, and that's and that's going to be the most difficult phase initially, to get to the $5,000 a month. And so you've just got to knuckle down and start working.
Awesome, that's so true. You know, we were talking just before we got on live, you know, about kind of, I guess, status really. You know, when you've been in an MLM or you've been online for a long time, and I know actually, funnily enough, Diane Hockman mentioned this on her page only the other day, is that, you know, when you forget what people do behind the scenes, and, you know, you might think that they recruit easy or they get results really quickly, but actually what you don't know about them is that, you know, they could have been online for 10 years and finally just made it. They could have a big MLM team behind them from another opportunity that they've pulled across. You know, they could have a massive marketing budget where suddenly they've just put all this money in, and of course they're going to recruit easy. You know, you suddenly go from a list of 100 to a list of 10,000, you're going to get some people signed up. So, you know, it's very easy to kind of get pulled in a bit to kind of the bit of the hype of, oh wow, that's a quick success story, that's a quick success story. And, you know, people forget that there's another level of recruiting where, you know, actually some people don't have a big budget, they've never done it before, they're just getting started. And what we want to do is kind of, I guess, share some of those kind of tips of, you know, what you can do today to kind of make a difference in your business, to get you those first results, to get you started, to get you off the ladder. You know, all the top leaders in any sort of industry tell you that the first 10K is the hardest. You know, it's so much easier to go from 10K to 30K than it is to go from 0 to 10K. And that's because you don't necessarily have the belief behind it. You know, we did a hangout a couple of weeks ago about beliefs and the importance of it, because, you know, you don't necessarily feel confident, you don't necessarily have your own story yet. So it's the belief factor that you've got to bring into your business to which is able to help you recruit. So we want to give you a few ideas on how to get around that, how to get around some of the conversations that people have. You know, I saw a classic one that someone was emailing today. They got a response back going, "Why should I join you?" And, you know, how do you deal with that when you've just got started? And, you know, it kind of comes back to two ways. And we're going to go into a bit of detail about this, but it's all about posturing yourself to handle that. and managing expectations, so you can control it and deal with it, so that you don't have to take conversations like that. Like if people ask how much money you're earning, it doesn't matter. If you're dealing with a proven system and a system that you've got examples, results, it doesn't matter whether you've made your million yet. That sort of thing. So always keep that in mind. So just a few kind of pointers to get started, I guess. It's true, you've got to do whatever it takes. So when you're first starting out, is like, don't be scared to pick up a phone and talk to someone. We all avoid our warm lists and our hot market. I personally won't ever recruit any of my family and my immediate friends into my business until probably I've smashed that 1 million mark. And so you've got to look for other avenues, and starting conversations with people on Facebook, for example. We were just talking about doing that. Looking for people that are already interested in the things that you do, or thinking about your position of what made you join another company. So why did you initially get into online marketing? Why did you start your network marketing business? Or whatever business you're doing, what is it that got you in there? So start to think about your target market, because they're the people that you're going to relate to quicker. But always think about them making that transition already. So they may have already gone into a program, or we were talking about, they may have gone to a specific seminar that they're interested in, which could get them thinking about it. They may have read specific books or following lots of specific people that are going to help them. So always keep in mind, whenever you start recruiting, is obviously to try and at least target a market that are open to having these conversations, rather than the person that's bogged down doing their daily job and they're not even open to the market. And we used to kind of say that in recruitment a bit. It is a bit like that in recruitment. You'll have a website where you'll get all your people registering for jobs. They're on the market, they're available, they're ready to go. So they're looking for a job. So there's no reason you can't pick up the phone to them, talk to them straight away, and offer them your service as a recruitment consultant. But actually then there's another market that's kind of, they're sitting in their jobs and might be a bit unhappy, but they're keeping an eye on what's going on in the business. So they might be keeping an eye on the market, but not quite registered or out there yet looking. And you can approach those sort of guys as well. But the ones you don't really want to do, unless you've got a lot of time and energy, and in recruitment we used to call that headhunting, is people that aren't even looking. They're not there yet. They're nowhere near it yet. If you're a newbie, you don't want to attract those people to start with. Because it's much more time consuming. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of marketing budget and a lot of follow-up to get those people to buy from you. So you really want to kind of target people that are already potentially ready to buy. So think about where they are in their journey and how you can potentially find a pool of people that are available at that level. Does that kind of make sense? I'm trying to use an example of.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying completely, and this is sort of exactly what we were speaking about before, and it's also something that I heard Dave Wood say in one of his training materials. And Dave Wood, for anyone that doesn't know, is the founder of our primary business, and he's literally recruited thousands and thousands and thousands of people into his business. So there's no one that can recruit like Dave Wood can. And what he says is, it's not about forcing people, it's not about persuading people, it's about like you said, connect people that are all, and it's like, if you've been slamming the corporate person that might not be happy in their job, but then they're not really open to the MLM yet. If some MLMer is like slamming them, this is why these people get a bad impression of MLM, because it's not about slamming people. It really is about connecting with people. I mean, especially if you're using Facebook, finding out where they are in their journey. And this is what we've discussed before. So when we sort of came online and got into wanted a new way of earning, what books were we reading, what talks were we going to, a lot of, so it's like that they're the people that are ready for like some kind of transition in their lives, and they're the kinds of people that are open to an MLM opportunity or a business opportunity. And then after that, it's not a pitch fest, it's it's connecting, it's really sort of connecting, you know, finding out where they are in their journey, finding out what their dreams are, finding out what their aspirations are, and then playing on that, because then it's not about you and the opportunity, it's about them and where they are in their journey and what they want to achieve and what your opportunity can ultimately deliver to them. So, you know, Kylie was saying it, find people that have got some similarities to yourself. So yeah, that's the other thing. Don't just slam people on Facebook, you know, go into their profiles, have a little bit of a look at what they're interested in, strike up a conversation, and talk to them, you know, find out how their day is going, you know, just build, you know, a relationship with them and a rapport with them. Yeah, and that's how you're going to ultimately get anyone to do anything that you want, because it's about them. It's never about you. It's about them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We always say it's a bit of a fishing thing, isn't it? I've got an echo. Oh, my echo. It's weird. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? Right.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
That better. That better.
Yeah.
That's what. I'm still getting an echo. It's weird. I wasn't getting that before. Okay. Why am I getting it? Okay.
Is it really bad?
Yeah, really bad. You haven't got your screen open, have you?
No, it's closed.
Okay. It's weird. It's just started. I've got I'm hearing myself. I can hear myself being really weird. It's like very odd.
Concentration. Great concentration.
As long as you can't hear it, that's the main thing. Yeah, so it's a bit like going fishing. There's no point going fishing if you're in a barramundi or a cold water fish. If you're suddenly out in the ocean trying to catch an ocean fish, it just doesn't work.
No.
Think about where the market are.
Yeah.
You know, go fishing where they're caught, basically. You know, especially if you're like trying to get into that sort of avenue. Can't cope with this. Weird. Now let me just shut. No, I've got nothing else open. Don't know why I'm suddenly getting an echo. Okay, so now it's off again. Maybe it's you. Okay, so just wanted to kind of go over, I guess in a way, with recruiting, there's what I think we talked about is about 6 key steps to kind of going through the recruitment process. And if you can do these with like a congruent message to your right market, and it means that you don't have to sell. You know, a lot of people don't recruit in their business is actually because of 2 things. One, they think they have to sell, and actually you don't. And 2, they don't know what to do with them when they do recruit. So it's a bit like, oh, what do I do if I get someone on board? So the 6 key steps are kind of understanding your target market. So you need to do what we've just said, get to know who your market is, understand where they hang out, get to know them, and make conversations with them and start connecting with these people. 2, it's getting them on your list. You know, one of the biggest things, you know, we talked about this week was, you know, YouTube closed down one of the biggest guys' video marketing channels he could possibly get. That's where he gets all his leads from. Now, if he hasn't taken those people off of that marketing channel, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, and got them onto his list, suddenly his business could close down overnight. And your list is so important because that's how you really build and know and get to know, like, and trust them. So they get to know you through your list building. And the reason behind that is because people don't necessarily buy straight away from you. And that is the same with recruiting. They'll never join your team, very rarely, on the first instance that they get to know you. So it takes on average at least 7 times for someone to have exposure to you before they'll actually start buying from you. So getting people onto your list, and the key thing with your list, and we'll go through this in a bit more detail later, but it's about then creating value for them. And we're talking about this, you know, Dave calls it pre-framing. So basically, if you're pre-framing your list all the time with value, that relates to your products, that relates to your services and how you can help solve their problems. And, you know, Sabrina said this really well before, it's not about you and it's not about your products, it's about solving their problem. You know, it's how can you help those people move from this little A bit here where they're stuck to this little B bit here where they want to be. So it's taking them through that journey. And the benefit of having them on your list is ideally you can move them through that journey on your list. And that's by adding value to them, solving maybe little steps along the way of their problems to potentially get them to where that you want them to go, or where they want to go. So getting them onto your list is your second step. Creating responsiveness. So, you know, not just having a list, you know, I hear these guys, oh, I've got 50,000, 100,000 people on my list. Great. How many people actually open your emails? And I know Sabrina will definitely go into this just after we get through the 6 steps quickly. And I'll get her just to show you some of the different things that she's done with how she's got responsiveness, because she's got one of the best open rates I know at the moment on her list. So I'll get her to show you a couple of her secrets after this. And then 4 is having a funded proposal. And that's one of the things we're going to, you know, we want to offer you tonight is, you know, having a funded proposal from start to finish where they go through that journey. And what is a funded proposal? It's the scenario of taking them through little buying steps to bigger buying steps. So basically, it's that know, like, trust factor and gaining commitment all the way through. So, you know, they might start off with, say, a $7 product to get to know you. Then they might go to, say, a $100 product or a $500 product or a $1,000 product. And if you want to sell high-ticket items, you need to have a funded proposal that goes through that sort of journey. Now, don't get me wrong, if you've known someone for 10 years and you've been in business with them before and they trust and they already love you and whatever, they've been following you for ages, they might go straight in at the top level. They might buy your top premium coaching package or whatever service that you offer. But actually, most people start with some sort of cold traffic, whether that's on Facebook, whether it's on, you know, solo ads, whether it's on any type of clickbait, click PPC, and I'm getting my tongues twisted here, but any type of paid advertising, anything like that, they're pretty well cold traffic. So they're going to get to know and need to get to know, like, and trust you before they'll sometimes buy a bigger product from you, because you need to show value. So taking them through a funded proposal is one of the best ways to get people into your business. And if you can get into a system that's already done that for you, then all you need to do is aim to get them in at the lower end, and they'll work through the process to get them up to the higher end. And we're going to kind of have a chat about that at the end of it. And then number 5 is kind of how to sell, going through a bit of a sales formula. You know, there are steps involved in gaining rapport with people, in finding out their needs, their problems, all that sort of thing, and then actually selling to them. And then the last one is closing and recruiting. Now, realistically, if you've done step 1 to 5 properly, you shouldn't really need to close and recruit. It should happen pretty well automatically, because you've built that factor all the way through the process. You've pre-framed them ready to buy. And we were listening to Dave earlier because he was sharing some of his closing techniques. And, you know, Dave hates being on the phone. He won't recruit on the phone. He avoids it like the plague if he can. He's really private, doesn't like recruiting, and could think of nothing worse than sitting there on the phone 24 hours a day or whatever, doing calls for his business. And, you know, in principle, that's right, you know, but when you're starting out, you're going to have to make some sort of calls to get to know people, to get them to listen to what you're doing, to find out where people are at, get to know their businesses and how you might be able to help them and solve their problems. But ideally, again, you want to at least be talking to people that are qualified in some way, shape or form. So some of the things to aiming for is, if you haven't necessarily gone through that process, is to get them into your funnel somehow, because you don't really want to speak to them on the phone unless they've gone through, either they're already on your list and have been following you for a while, they've seen one of your presentations and just wants to ask a few questions, or they've followed you on Facebook or whatever, they've been watching your training, they've already had some sort of value from you, and they're potentially at that buying stage. So again, getting people onto the phone and closing them really should be a fairly straightforward scenario if you're doing the system in the right way. So that's the kind of the basic key steps. We'll go through some of them a little bit more in detail, but just wanted to go through, go back to responsiveness. I'm going to get Sabrina
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, okay, because Kylie, I could not hear you towards the end of that presentation, so
I must have muted myself.
yeah, just unmuted yourself. So yeah, it's like Kylie was saying, know your target market, and we keep going on about providing value, 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 because really, whether you're online or offline, it's the same principle. People do business with people that there's a relationship with, and you know, I was like a you know, a top salesperson, you know, many years ago for a company I worked with, and it'd take me 7, 8, 9, 10 times to sit in front of a person, you know, really get their trust, you know, really, you know, you really get on a level with them where they finally realize that I just wasn't the hard, cold salesperson. I was actually in it for them as well. You know, their interests were my interest, and it's exactly the same online as well. So, you know, so you need to know your target market. You know, what keeps them up at night. You know, what it is that they truly want, and you know, how can you solve their problems? How can your product solves their problems? And when we that's what value is. You know, in some kind of content that you're producing for them, a video that you're producing for them, some kind of audio that you're producing for them. You know, something that's going to help them, you know, from where they are to where they want to get to. And yeah, my open rate is crazy. My open rate is crazy. It's like 3 to 4 times the industry average, because firstly, I know my target market. It's like, you know, they're of a certain age, going through a certain stage in their life, and I don't always pitch to them. You know, I provide them with, you know, mindset training, or my target market possibly doesn't have a lot of time in their hands because they're on the 9-to-5 treadmill and they just want to get off it sometimes. So I'll provide them a lot of tips and training around that. So they open my emails. So that is that's the importance of not just slamming people all the time, and really getting to know who it is that you're talking to, who it is that you're marketing to. And like Kylie says, the more you can pre-frame someone initially, the easier it is to close them when you do pick up the phone to them eventually, or when they phone you, because they want to be pitched by you at that stage, because you've already provided them with a ton of value, so they want to be closed by you at that time. You know, so it's just the final nail in the coffin. It's just, you know, it's this series of steps that you've created to get to that point. So So work on the value and work on the relationship with your prospects above and beyond anything else, and think of it as a long-term game rather than here today, gone tomorrow. It really is like a long-term, you know, relationship strategy, business strategy.
Yeah,
So,
perfect.
yeah, perfect.
It's you that's mute yourself. That's it. Yeah, that's how I got the echo before. I don't know why it's echoing suddenly. Normally we can both bounce off each other, but can't at the moment. And yeah, that's awesome. And it is. And I know Sabrina's being a little bit coy there, because you know, she's worked really, really hard at really niching her list down. And you know, it just shows you, if you do understand your market, the people, the quality of the people you get on your list is so much better. And by providing that value, you know, like you said, she doesn't necessarily have a 50,000 list. She doesn't need it, because what she does have is a really responsive list. And I know when she starts to put out her own products, and I know when she starts to do her own coaching, or whatever she's going to do with it for herself personally, she's establishing a really strong brand, because they're already loving her, because they open her and they follow everything that she does. And that's the key to getting a responsive list, is targeting the right people in the first place, and then just providing massive value to them all the time. And I think the other thing is definitely consistency. Is keeping consistent. Like, I've really noticed even my rates have started to double over the last 3 weeks, because I've been consistent. I've been emailing my list every day. And you know, that is the key to it as well, because you know, there's 2 ways of doing it. You either do it daily and you keep value to them, or you do it consistently on specific days. Like I have one sales one that I get, which I love. I love her sales quality. but she does every Monday, so she does Monday Madness. And I know every Monday I'm going to get that in my inbox without fail. So you either have to do it one way or the other. You know, for a small business owner, you might just do it once a week, but do it consistently on the same day so people expect it. Like, I would wonder what happened if I didn't get that email on a Monday, because I know and I love to read it. It's great. It's always got great content. And being from sales, I love hearing what she's got to say and just listening to the different tips and that she provides. So, but normally when you're in an MLM or in internet marketing, you know, people get bombarded by stuff. So you've got to be providing value all the time. And I guess in a way, be a little bit in front of the pack, you know, so that if they do decide to buy or they do decide to join someone, they see your emails all the time. And, you know, we used to do that a lot in a estate agency. People would go, oh, you know, why do your letter drop all the time? You know, why do you drop these leaflets? You know, you might only get one call, but actually what you do get is people put them to the side and they keep them. And when they're ready to sell or they're ready to move, they'll pick up the phone for that person that dropped it through. And it always amazes me. I'll go around, you know, I used to go around and do valuations, and I'd go around and you know, 6 months, they'll show me a brochure that they'd kept from 6 months ago. And it might just be the one because it related directly to them. So whether it was a similar style house, whether it was a similar style street or whatever, they keep that one brochure. So, you know, marketing consistently will get you in front of them when they're ready to buy at the right buying cycle for them. Because you'll never recruit someone and you'll never sell to someone if they're not in that buying cycle, if they're not ready to go. So, you know, you've got to be in front of people when they're in that buying cycle, when they're ready to go. So just want to go through a couple of key things. I mean, you know, if you are a newbie, one of the other things to always think about as well, and, you know, we bang on about this, about kind of, in a way it's goal setting, but actually when you're recruiting, it's about figures, it's about numbers. And it's knowing your numbers. You know, it really amazes me when I talk to people, especially that have already been in a, say, another MLM opportunity for a long time. And I'll say to them, so how long does it take for one of your newbies to get to, say, 5,000 a month? What do they have to do? And it's amazing how many people can't tell you. They don't know how many people they need to recruit. They don't know how much volume they need to sell. You know, they have no idea of their numbers. And, you know, it surprises me because it's like, how do you inspire someone? If someone picks up the phone and you're talking to them, one of the questions you always want to find out when you're chatting to someone is, you know, what are their goals? What do they want to achieve? Why are they looking at this business? And, you know, it'll always start initially, and it may change as they go along the track. And there may be a bigger why behind it, but initially it's some sort of financial freedom. You know, whether it's to get themselves out of the job that they hate, whether it's to get themselves out of, you know, they just want a holiday, they want some extra funding for their kids to go to uni, whatever. There'll always be normally a financial aspect to it. So it amazes me that leaders can't answer that question. So, you know, when you are new, think about your business that you're in, whatever opportunity that you're in, and do some figures, work out at least some basics for people. So, you know, how long does it take? What do they need to get to 1,000 people? Like, I know I can get 10 people in and hit 1,000 a month, residual income, no problems. So, you know, what's it take to get to someone to 5,000? What's it take to get someone to 10,000 a month? What are some of the key milestones that they need to do? So always think about your income goal. And the reason being is your income goal gives you a recruiting goal. You know, especially if you're in a network marketing business, because if you want to hit a certain amount of figures per year, so say you want to hit that golden, you know, a 6-figure, 10K a month or whatever, you need to know how many people you need to recruit for the year. So you need to know how many people you need to bring on board, and ideally that will then go back again. When we used to always take this back in a estate agency one step further. If you need to do 10 sales, you need to have 20 valuations on to get those 10 sales. But from those 10 sales, you need to have 40 viewings or whatever it takes, 1 in 10 viewing to get a sale. So that's how many viewings you need. And it's the same when you're recruiting. It's like, well, if you want to get 10 people on board, how many conversations do you have to have? Or how many people do you have to have in front of your presentation? So work it out, work out your numbers and get some advice from people around you. You know, what's the average? What's the average across the board? How many does it take to, if they see that your business presentation, how many does it take on average to get a sign up? So it might be 1 in 10, it might be 1 in 20, it might be 1 in 30, whatever the stats are, know them. Because then if you can say, okay, I want to get 2 people on board, I need to get 20 people in front of my presentation. So what am I going to do that? So kind of work yourself backwards, but you can't do that unless you know your initial numbers. So, you know, recruiting and getting that income level. And this is kind of a bit where we talk about treating your business, treating this like a proper business. You know, if you were starting out in a business, you know, say you're starting a recruitment agency, a call center, you know, anything, you need to know your numbers. You know, you've either got to pay your bills, you've got to recruit people, you've got to pay the tax man, whatever. You've got to know your numbers first. And it's exactly the same when you're doing this business, is know your numbers, have some understanding of what you want to do and what you want to achieve first, so that then you can know what you want to do to recruit. And that's one of the key ones. You know, we've talked a bit about understanding your market. One of the other big ones as well is understanding the benefits and features. You know, again, it comes back to either yourself or talking about them. And, you know, a lot of the times benefits talk about the stuff about yourself, what you love. So it's about the product. You know, oh my God, it's got the best this and the best that. And, you know, oh, did you know it does this 5 times faster than anything else? And they're the benefits of it. But what are the actual, they're the features of it. But what are the benefits of it? You know, actually it gives you more time. It gives you more financial freedom. It gives you security. So think about your business in relation to the benefits of it. What is going to change for them if they join you in whatever business opportunity that you're in? So, you know, it could be a weight loss one's a classic, you know. You know, you could say, oh, I've got the best shake in the world and it's got the best flavour. Well, that's a feature. But actually the benefit is actually you can lose weight 3 times faster than you can with any other product. So you're going to feel 100% better in a shorter period of time. That becomes the benefit to them. They can change their lifestyle much quicker. So always think about when you're recruiting and talking about your product, and again, it goes back to what Sabrina was saying about spamming people. If you're just spamming people, I've got the best product in the world, it's going to save your life, you're just going to get laughed at. You're going to get laughed out of it, you're going to get laughed out of the industry, and you're never going to get people on board because you're selling to them, you're pitching to them the features. You're not talking about the benefits to them. So always think about things in relation to what problem are you solving, where are they going, and once they've worked with you or joined whatever you're doing, how are they going to change their lives and feel better? You know, whether it's about personal, whether it's money, whether it's whatever, just always think about those benefits. I've just muted myself. I do that now automatically to bring you on. I mute myself. I was going to ask, do you want to add anything to that? I've kind of covered page. So add anything there?
Yeah, you know what, that's some really, really good points there. And what I wanted to elaborate there, if you know, about sort of the value-based and knowing your market, this really is like a relationship industry. It's not like a pitch fest or a features and benefit or a sales. It really is a relationship industry, and really, really getting down to the core desires of your market and what ultimately they're going to get with the product that's being offered. And you know, just and another thing that I wanted to clear as well, a lot of people have this myth that they only want to recruit leaders, that they only want to recruit leaders. Well, you know what, leaders start from the bottom up. You know what, so the thing is, you've got to try to recruit as many people as you can, because from the people you recruit, you will get leaders that emerge in your business. So it's not a matter of, I'm after that person and that one person because he's got like a downline of a gazillion people, because leaders start from somewhere, and until you're established and at a point where leaders want to be following you or leaders approach you, you know, you've just got to get in there, start providing value, start providing the relationship and just talking to people and get people into your business, and forget about chasing that elusive person who you wanted, because you know it's recruiting. You're going to get some no's, get over it. I mean, I know certainly that people just you know, they just hang on to that like one salesperson that was just gonna, you know, their business was gonna ignite with this one salesperson, and you know, they didn't get that salesperson and done. And you know, someone actually wanted to join me to join their business like years and years ago, and I didn't. You know, it was probably very disappointed. But you know, the attitude has got to be like next. And if you recruit enough people, you will get the leaders within your organization, because leaders come from the bottom up, and ideally you want to get to 2 people a day. I mean, that's what we were always taught. You want to start recruiting 2 people a day. That's what your sort of ultimate aim is, because that's when you start getting the leaders emerging, because if you go down deep enough, you will get them. So yeah, learn to take rejection, learn to talk to as many people as possible, and just, you know, just get your hands mucky. Just get dug in. Just get dug in.
Oh, classic. So true, so true. I love the just basically, yeah, don't mind rejection, just get over it. And it brings me back to a book they were talking about a lot, which I've actually just ordered but hasn't come yet, and it's called Go for No. I don't know if you've seen that. It's I think it's one of the Network Marketing Pro books that are out. And it's quite funny, in my estate agency training, I used to laugh because one of the big business guys that was behind us, used to back us financially, was one of the, what do they call, the old aluminium window salespeople. And, you know, that's really hardcore door knocking. You know, you're going around selling the kind of the extensions, the windows, and, you know, it's a technique. And, you know, and he used to have a sales technique, and he used to teach all my negotiators. And it was one of the things that's always stuck with me in my training over, you know, 8 years, 9 years in sales, is that you've got to get the no's to get the yeses. And, you know, he was one of the ones that used to celebrate getting a no. And they all used to think he was mad. So, like, he'd go in, do an appointment, you know, pitch to someone, talk to someone about what they wanted, and then they'd say no. And he goes, "Thanks so much. Really appreciate your time. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for saying no." And they'd go, "What? What? But we've said no." And he's like, "Yeah, no, cheers, thanks very much, no problems at all. You know, have a great day, whatever." And because he would walk out the door and go, "Right, one no." And because he knew that every time he got to, I think it was 10 or 15 no's, he'd get a big yes. And you know, he knew there were big commissions, you know, these were some of them 15, 20 grand worth of sales. So every time he got a no, he celebrated. And that was how he turned the psychology around. He could have walked out with the fear of rejection, going, "Oh my God, you know, I've just been told no again, and, you know, those people have sworn at me, those people have shut the door on me," all that sort of stuff. But actually he knew his figures, because every time he got a no, he knew when roughly his next yes was coming. So again, celebrate your no's, and that's really powerful, Sabrina, so thanks for that. And again, and Ray was talking about a little bit about what you were talking about the other night when we met Ray in London, and, you know, he was talking about posture, you know, and it was fascinating watching him. He was doing a few scenarios with his posture, because, you know, we all forget, I think, sometimes that, you know, desperation is the worst thing you can have when you're trying to recruit and sell to people. And, you know, I know you mentioned this a bit earlier, so when it's like, you have to take the no's, and you have to accept what people say. So now that doesn't mean a no means no forever either. So be aware that, you know, that they'll keep an eye on you. You know, you may have approached someone and they may have said no straight away, but it's amazing how many people join if you get maybe that little bit more success, or they see someone else join you. So remember, a no doesn't necessarily mean no forever, but you're going to get them. But one of the things to make sure you do, and we were watching on some of Dave's training tonight as well when he was doing phone closing, is about posturing. And a couple of the examples that Ray did the other night was, you know, don't push if they push. So, you know, if someone says to you, "Why should I join you?" It's quite an aggressive thing, you know, but it's also a buying signal in a way, because it means that they're starting to think about joining someone. Now, they're testing you in a way, they're pushing your buttons. And the worst thing you can do is then pitch at them, you know, "Oh, because I'm the best and I can do this and I can do that." And it's like, anyone that's got a good team will run a mile from it. So, you know, like you're saying, Sabrina, about getting the right people on board, is actually a newbie might go, "Oh, cool." But actually, someone with a bit of clout will go, "Oh, whatever, mate, you know, I've heard it all before," sort of scenario. And what Ray was talking about that night, which I thought was really fascinating, was it's about setting expectations with people. So when someone challenges you about, why should they join you or how much money have you made, think of things that respond to them in a way scenario rather than a push scenario. So one of the things he said was if they ask that simple question, why should I join you? His response is, maybe you shouldn't. And they're not expecting it. They don't know what to say because you've said maybe you shouldn't. No problem, because you're not pushing back at them, which is what the general public do. That's the biggest expectation most people do, is they'll push back because they'll get aggressive. Oh, but you've got to join me and I'm the best and rah, rah, rah. And actually, if you just go, maybe I shouldn't. But what I can tell you is this is what I'll offer you and this is what I won't do. So his was all about managing expectations. So it was about saying, look, maybe you shouldn't join me, but if you do, this is what I can provide for you and this is what I won't do for you. So he was setting expectations around people joining, and the benefit of that, it also meant he had big retention because they knew what to expect from him as a sponsor straight up front. So it was things like, he would do an initial call with them. No problems whatsoever. He provided a weekly hangout for his team. No problems whatsoever. He provided obviously some good training. He's got a back office. There's various things that he provided up front. But he also told him what he wouldn't do. So he said, I wouldn't pick up the phone to you every 5 minutes in the day. I won't respond to your emails in 10 minutes flat. I won't be there to hold your hand. You'll get guidance and you'll get some overall, but it's your business. You have to run your business. So it managed the expectations, but it also postured him that he didn't care if he joined one way or the other. But what he did say, and it was a really nice closing question, was, it may be a good fit for you. It might not be a good fit for you. But it would be great to have you on board if you feel like joining me. If you don't, no problems. So it was kind of like, it's a bit we talked about. I think what Dave uses a lot of the line is, I'm going to do this anyway, but it'd be nice if you join me. So it's kind of posturing with a strong posture, but not a push posture. So always think about your position. And I wish I had a little whiteboard at the moment because he drew little stick figures, which were really cool. So it was kind of like, two people standing against each other and then, one pushed and one pushed back. But actually, if one pushes, then you should pull back. It's the opposite way. So whenever you're having conversations with people, always think about your posture. What are you showing people? What are you kind of giving them? It's like you said, are you reeking desperation? Oh my God, please join me, I need you. He hates the word favour. I didn't know this about Ray, but Ray hates the word favour. Oh, do me a favour, just get in. It's not professional for business. It's different if it's a mate going, can I borrow your car for 5 minutes? Can I do a favour or whatever? But in business, it makes you look really unprofessional because you don't want them to do you a favour, because if they do, they're not joining you because they're serious about their business and changing their own lives or building their own income. So things like that, always, again, it's all about posture and how you can make yourself become accessible so people can still approach you, they'll still ask you questions. Don't get me wrong, you still have to answer some, and people will have genuine questions, but it's about making sure you don't sound desperate to them. You don't get aggressive. It's like, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. Think about your no's. It doesn't matter. The next person may say yes. And if you know your figures, and when you've been doing it for a while, you'll get to know your own figures. So you might close 1 in 5. You might close 1 in 10. You might close 1 in 30. Depending on how confident you are on the phone or in your systems or your processes and how well you've got them through is how well you'll close people. And you'll start to see that pattern, and I can guarantee there will be a pattern somewhere on the line. And you can improve it as you go along. It may be that you start with 1 in 30 and you'll get down to 1 in 5. Dave closes just about everyone he gets on the phone now because he's done it so many times. When you've closed and talked to people over the phone for 5,000 people he's recruited, you're gonna get a bit of confidence. And it's about having that confidence. And I know Sabrina mentioned this to me earlier. I don't know if she said it on here, but it's about having confidence in your product. It's about being confident in the service you provide and the value that you add will give you confidence when you're talking to people. Because if you know you're providing good value and you know you can help people, then it shouldn't matter what the outcome is because you'll know you'll help the right people when they're ready to be helped. So always think about that sort of side of it. And, as Sabrina said earlier, don't be scared of rejections. It's not personal. It's just they're not in that buying cycle yet. And again, it may be that they might buy 4 or 5 weeks down the track. Or, you know, many times I've heard Chris and Susan say, we've had people on our list for 3 or 4 years before they've bought, because it's their buying cycle, it's not your selling cycle, because you're selling all the time. It's whether they're ready to buy. So always kind of keep that in mind. I don't know, keep mute myself before I go. Sabrina, do you have anything? Is there anything you want to kind of add to that?
Yeah, there was, you know what, some really, really good points there about positioning and posture. And Kylie, you're exactly right, because you know what, you have got the cookie. You know, this is another one of our mentors who always says is, you have got the cookie. You know, and by you speaking to them, you know, you've given them a little bit of time, or if they picked up the phone to you, it's your time, you've got the cookie. So, you know, make them feel that it's, you know, you that is giving to them, and not that you are asking for a favor from them. And that way, I think they want it more. It's always something that someone can't have, you know, they want just a little bit more. So yeah, posture and positioning is really, really important here.
I'm going to cut you off there. Can I say that? Make yourself for 2 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bit like the old dating scenario. It's a bit like that. It's like you were just saying. It's like if you take it away from someone, they want more. And, you know, we always joke about using it as a dating cycle, don't we? Because it's like, you know, if you're really coy with a guy, you know, they love the chase. You know, if you're sort of holding back, or, you know, maybe don't respond quite so quickly, or, you know, you keep them interested and you play the game a little bit, because they love that chase. And it's exactly the same. And the minute you take something away from someone, they want it more and more and more. And, you know, we used to see this so much in a estate agency. How many times I said, oh, no, that property's not for you. Sorry, we've already got people interested. Couldn't possibly want it like they do, you know. And that I had an offer on the table before I even left the office, you know, many, many times. And I always just joke about the dating one on that. So sorry about that. But I had to going with your story while I was there.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, you're back on.
So I mean, I'm sort of ready to wrap up here, Kylie. I don't know if you've got a lot more to say. I think we've covered most of the elements here. You know, the trust, the relationship building, the sort of pre-framing, putting people through a series of exposures to your product. So it might be, you know, an initial, you know, DVD, and, you know, then sort of like a live hangout, and then another hangout. So you're always pre-framing, and by the time they get to that last phase, it should be very easy, you know, for you to, you know, get them to join your business. And obviously positioning yourself the right way, never being desperate, you know, not being bothered about no's and rejections, and yeah, just getting sort of your hands dirty, because if you're not at a certain amount of income just yet, you just need to be speaking, you know, you need to be thinking about selling, or you need to be thinking about recruiting, because that's the only 2 ways you're going to make money, and everything else is just by the by, because that's what's going to get you the bread and butter. So yeah, they were the main points. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to add, Kylie.
I've got one more. Probably more about just creating systems for your team. Is that, you know, think about it when you do start to recruit, and again, it's about attracting people to you, because you know, they're not going to know what to do when they get started. You know, you might get someone on board that's completely new. Remind them to tap into your system, so whatever they might be. So like, we have our own systems for our teams. You know, we have a back office that they can tap into immediately for any specific training, how to get started. We've already got capture page and systems in place that they can use straight away. You know, we teach them how to get their leads. So, you know, make sure, and, you know, especially events and things like that as well, they tap into the resources, because if you make them start to feel a part of a community quickly, they will stay around a lot longer as well, because they've got that backing up as support. And, you know, if you are doing things, you know, again, this is where you do stuff at the beginning that you may not have to do later. So in the beginning, when you're building a team to start with, every time someone asks you a really key question, do a video about it. Answer it via a video, or put 2 or 3 questions together, do a video about it, because they then become your system later. It's like you're saying, Sabrina, is you don't have to start with a team site. Actually, most of our leaders recommend after 30K a month. So until you're earning 20, 30K a month, you shouldn't even be thinking about a team site. And there's enough between our leaders that you've already got team sites to tap into, so you don't need to start that straight away. But think about it every time that you do help your team with something, that you do it via either a Hangout, or you do it via a webinar, or you do it via a video, because then you can use it again, so that then when they get their team members in, you can go, oh, I know, they did a video on this, go and have a look at this. So you're automatically putting systems in place that your team can see and use, so they don't get scared about recruiting, because that's one of the biggest problems with people duplicating, is they get scared to recruit because they don't know what to do with them when they recruit. So set that expectation with people. Make sure you have those conversations when you recruit someone, that there's already stuff there in place that they can use. And we want to kind of tap into it. We've got a new system that we're a big part of at the moment, where all this is kind of, a lot of it's done for you. And there's a lot of people that say that, but the process is there. It's been so fine-tuned over many months that the system does it for you. It goes through that process. So there are certain things that you need to do when you join, and there's certain things that you don't. But we're here to support no matter what with our teams. I quite often have team calls where, they'll ask me questions, or we'll do a Q&A hangout with them. And that's why I do it, so that I don't have to do it again. So we might do one on traffic or something like that, and I can help them and show them how to do stuff. And I guess that's the main thing. And I guess one of the biggest things we actually haven't talked about, which is rare for us, because normally you and I do nothing but talk about it, but it's work on yourself. It's all about mindset. Whenever you're recruiting and selling, and Sabrina will be laughing at this, because I know that she'll be going, oh my God, yeah, this is the first time we probably haven't mentioned it, where mindset is the biggest thing in you doing any part of your business. So if you're not working on yourself all the time throughout your business, you're not going to go anywhere. And you could say, oh, but I've already recruited. And they say that the best time to recruit someone is when you're just recruiting. So keep that momentum. Don't sit back and go, oh my God, I've just recruited, fantastic. Oh, I've done my quota for the week, or whatever. Have your numbers in mind. But if you're on a roll and you're recruiting, keep recruiting, because you're in that mindset of the right mindset. And we always used to say it with sales as well, whenever someone sold something, it was always the next time we'd get 2 or 3 sales straight in, because the challenge was on, the momentum was there, and it's much, much easier to build on momentum. So again, always think about your mindset and what you're doing to improve it. With our system, we always say, do half an hour a day of mindset. It could be listening to the Inner Circle, it could be listening to someone's hangout, it could just be going through one of the training products. Anything to work on your mindset continually, because it's so important to invest in yourself. If you're not investing in yourself and building your own system and understanding stuff behind it, then you're never going to build a big team. Because you always need content. You always need to be sharing new ideas. We say invest, learn and teach, don't we? So it's an invest in yourself, learn something, and then teach your team how to do it. Because especially, I guess, with us in our world, is our internet marketing world, it's always changing, so you have to, there's some consistencies underneath the board that stay the same, but actually there's a lot of stuff on top that changes all the time, whether it's a marketing strategy, whether it's the products or whatever it is can change. So you need to be on top of stuff going on out there all the time. So you need to know what's happening in your industry, you need to know what's happening with your product, you need to know what's going on in your company. Because if you're a leader, you need to be showing that to your team and sharing it with people. So make sure you're forever investing in yourself and working on your mindset, because without mindset, I can guarantee you won't grow a business either. And it takes, and you'll plateau, you'll go to different levels all the time, and then you'll need to challenge yourself again to take yourself to that next level. Because what happens is you always get into your different levels of comfort zones. So, it's like us now. We're happy doing webinars and we're happy doing training. We're happy helping our team. And one of our next steps is to get on stage in front of 5,000 people. Now, that's going to take us out of our comfort zone. Both of us have spoken on stage in different scenarios, but not to that level. So, you know, again, it's always striving for that next comfort zone level to break. So always work on your mindset, continually do that on a daily basis. So I think that's the key one for me. I'm surprised. Normally you and I sit there all the way through and go, mindset. Anything you want to close with? And then we'll
Yeah, do you know what? This is like the most crucial point, and I just don't know how I forgot this, because without your mindset, it's nothing. And you know what? I've been a bit sort of snobbish in the past, and I've been like, I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do that. You know what? I don't need to do that and stuff. And you know, I was just saying to Kylie today, I've just thought, you know what? Sod it. I just got to go out and I've just got to do it. And because without the right mindset, you know, you've got to have the mindset that I am going to do whatever it takes, because you know, there's enough negativity out there to sort of grind you down on a daily basis, and just by the fact that you're going to be speaking to people and you're going to get a no, you know what, that's going to drag you down. So you know, they say that MLM is sort of personal development in another guise. And why that's so important is personal development so important is because you know the conversations that you're having in your own mind, and when you know that the conversations that you're having in your own mind, then you know that then you're sort of at a higher level, at a higher plateau, and that's when you can start like influencing people and be clearer with people. So yeah, mindset absolutely imperative. You know, like I've been in sales and I've been in business, and without mindset you're sort of nothing, because it just gives you that strength and determination to just carry on going despite everything else that's going on out there, and despite all the negativity and the knockbacks, and it just gives you the ability to do whatever it takes, you know, just do whatever it takes. So that, yeah, crucial number one thing, work on your mindset. And if you haven't got them already, our Inner Circle audios, you know, daily audio to help improve your mindset. Half an hour reading, half an hour listening every day. You should definitely be investing that time in getting your mind right. So yeah, really, really good point there, Kylie.
Awesome. Yeah, I thought you'd like that. I can believe we've missed that compared to what we normally do. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, obviously some of the key things tonight is do whatever it takes, guys. You know, we can show you the system that we use, and you know, if you want to join us, fantastic. There's a link below. Do click it, get in, check out what we're doing. You know, it's a fantastic system. A lot of it's there for you to use straight away. Get started. Get your first 10K behind you, and then get moving from there. But you've got to do whatever it takes. And, you know, the second, you've got to make a decision. You know, you can't succeed in anything unless you take and make decisions. And, you know, most decision makers make a decision really quickly. They don't sit on the fence. They don't watch to see what's going to happen. You know, with this thing, it's like anything. You know, you've got nothing to lose. What's the worst thing you can do is try it. And if it doesn't work, fine, it doesn't work. But make an effort if you want to change something in your life, you want to get a better life, or just create a different lifestyle. You know, for me, I don't have a bad life, and I know Sabrina doesn't either. We're both really successful in what we've done, but we just want a different life. You know, we want that freedom of choice. We want to be able to do the stuff that we want when we want. You know, we don't have bad incomes or bad positions. Yeah, okay, we might have run a credit card bill every now and again or whatever, but we don't necessarily have that big struggle that some people do. But what we do have is a strong desire and a strong why. So make a decision, find your why, and then just do it. Simple as that. The system's there for you to use. It's proven. We know that time and time again. There's story and time again of how many success stories out there. And I guess the question is, are you going to be one of them or not? So hopefully this has given you value. Please do put any comments in the comment box, or any questions, come back to us. And we look forward to seeing you the same time next week. Cheers for now. Bye.